and welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal, our weekly podcast about movies, entertainment, and anything alike. I am Noah Moores, and as always, I am with my co-host, Teddy.
Hello there.
And today, like every week, we have a multitude of things to talk about. We have the Cats trailer, we have some Star Trek news, and then we also have some Joker rumors, facts, who fucking
Rumors,
knows?
I guess. Yeah.
How you doing, Teddy? You doing good?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a busy weekend for movies, so.
I mean, yeah, you've been seeing a bunch recently. You just saw Knives Out last night, right?
Yeah, and I enjoyed that a lot, but I won't get into that yet.
Yeah, you bastard. I gotta wait like another half week.
Doesn't it come out Tuesday?
I actually don't know. With Thanksgiving and everything like that, actually it might come out Tuesday.
I think so. Anyway, but.
Oh, well, that actually makes my week a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's something to look forward to.
I hope I'm right.
I hope you're right, too. Well, let's just start it off. Did you see the Cats trailer?
Yeah, I was forced to sit through it when I saw A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Forced,
Because I honestly, there's so many trailers that come out, and I see them on YouTube all the time, and I will pick and choose what I watch, and that was one that I just definitely chose not to watch.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, are you surprised?
I mean, yeah, actually. Because when that trailer came out, I immediately clicked on it because Twitter loves to shit on cats, especially after the first trailer. So I kind of wanted, I wanted to fit in, feel kind of cool with the cool kids.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know. I felt like I saw what I needed to see with the first trailer anyway.
It's not much of a different trailer, or unless just they're both really shitty and they just kind of meshed together to me.
Well, they felt very similar, but it also felt like there were like maybe 2 new scenes they put into the other trailer.
I take it you didn't like the trailer then?
It's just the movie itself is not appealing to me, so I can't say I liked it, but I feel like it could surprise me.
Have you seen the play?
No.
Yeah,
And that's
I haven't
the other
either.
thing.
My girlfriend goes on about it. She loves it, but she also thinks that the trailer kind of looks shitty.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, this is what I feel about with the Cats trailer. I have a feeling that whoever's editing these trailers is doing a really piss poor job on what the movie is actually going to be, like representing what the movie's actually going to be. I actually kind of expect the movie to come out to decent reactions, reviews, and whatnot. I mean, I always forget his name, the director of it, but he did the King's Speech, and do you remember what his name is?
Tom something, I want to say.
Tom Hooper?
Yeah,
Tom
that's
Hooper?
who it. Yeah.
I mean, I just think whoever's making the trailers is doing an absolutely horrible job, and they're making it seem like this. I don't even have words for it. It's just baffling to me.
Well, did you happen to see Les Miserables? How do you say that?
I just say Les Mis. Just Les Mis.
Les Mis. I guess that's the easiest way. But yeah, he did that, and
that was good,
didn't
actually.
mind.
I like that.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. I'm not one for musicals at all, and there are a few that I can put up with, but
I don't mind a good musical.
That's the other thing is with Cats. I'm like, I mean, I've heard they have like some of the biggest Broadway songs, like you would just recognize it without even knowing the names of some of the songs. And
I don't even know if I would though.
I mean, in the trailer, you didn't even recognize. There was like one. I can't say what it is, but
There's one thing that I can't tolerate from that trailer, and it's not even just with Cats. It's kind of with nearly every movie he's in. I don't understand how James Corden keeps getting roll after roll after roll. He drives me up the goddamn wall.
I thought you were going to say him or Idris Elba, but I was like, okay, I think he's going to say James Corden.
I don't mind Elba. Like, I think he's a pretty good actor. It's James fucking Corden that just drives me insane. I can't escape that dude. And maybe
Peter
it's just
Rabbit and the Emoji Movie. And I can't believe they're making Peter Rabbit too.
They are?
Yeah, there was a trailer for it. I saw it
sometime
not too long ago, but yeah.
I mean, maybe my James Corden hatred kind of stems from my drunken experience at the Emoji Movie, but
that's fair enough.
I can't stand his voice, and like I've seen his, talk show like clips on YouTube. He all really gimmicky, really stupid. I don't know why Hollywood keeps giving him like the same goofy roles, and it drives me insane.
Well, I think the main thing was I think it's just carpool karaoke being so popular, maybe, and he's
Do they
just,
still do that?
I don't know, but I never got into that. I know that's what got him so big, though.
I mean, the people who like that kind of stuff is like 40-year-old moms, probably, I would imagine.
And that's who watches his show and likes him, so.
And those 40-year-old moms will probably be the people who are going to go see Cats. I think most 40-year-old moms probably love Cats.
I think it's just in general going to be most people over 40 or 50.
I mean,
And
fuck,
then
I think
musical fans, but
you told me we have to go see Cats.
we are going to see Cats just because of what it is. I mean,
When does it come out? Does it come out on
scary.
Christmas?
I think so, yeah.
Well, if it comes out on Christmas, I'll be back in Colorado, so maybe we just go see it together, and then
yeah,
we just,
that's. I know what that's gonna entail too.
it's
but
not going to be as fun if the movie's actually good, though.
That's the other thing is like, yeah, I think you're right when you were saying at first about how it's probably gonna get good reviews and people will like it and blah blah blah. But there's just something about it. I mean, probably just the way they look. But
Yeah, I think that's the most unsettling thing.
like that's something out of nightmares, like the way they like formed into cat humans, and I don't know.
I'm trying to think of who like the most terrifying one. McKellen's pretty scary.
I
in
mean, well, when you said
So is
James
Taylor
Corden,
Swift.
he's a big like
that.
round.
James Corden looks
fat
like
cat.
James Corden.
Yeah, that's true.
Just if he had fur everywhere.
And then
But,
Rebel
like-
Wilson literally is the same
Oh,
thing.
she
so I
drives
was
me
like,
insane too. I
I
forgot
hate
she was
her.
in it.
You know, I can't stand her either, but I didn't mind her in JoJo Rabbit. So
Oh, I mean,
thought
I'll
that
have an
was-
opinion about that tonight.
yeah,
So
yep. But yeah, she was in that. I really don't like her.
I think she's just picking the wrong roles. I mean, she kind of reminds me of like Melissa McCarthy, in which she annoyed me a
is.
lot until Melissa McCarthy did. Could you ever forgive me? I think that's
That was
what
the
it was
best thing she did, and
called. It's a great movie.
forever. Yeah, and that actually was
Got her
directed
an Oscar
by
nomination too.
the lady that directed Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Which
Oh, well,
is what we're gonna be
Props to
talking
her.
about.
Yeah, we will be
Yep.
talking about that soon. So let's just get closer to that then. We don't need to stick on the
Okay,
Cats
we're
trailer
done
any
with
longer than we
Cats.
need to. You want to talk about the next news involving the man who shares a name with me?
Yeah, so there's a man named Noah Hawley. He doesn't have a great track record at the moment. He just directed a movie called Lucy in the Sky that bombed. He is also responsible for Legion on FX, but he's gonna
Don't
be.
people like Legion?
I tried to get into it. I couldn't. People do like it. I think it just ended.
I
I
watched the
believe so.
first 2 episodes and it just wasn't for me. I thought the idea was cool, but then it kind of just got a little too.
Well, I'm
I
also
guess
not a
okay.
huge X-Men fan, and it ties into that whole world. So to me, it wasn't anything like. I don't know. It didn't feel worth it to me, but
It's just such an interesting choice when it comes down to it for Noah Hawley to do the Star Trek movie. I don't know if I let you
Yeah.
finish there, but he's
Oh,
doing
I
a
didn't
Star
even-
Trek
yeah.
movie. Yeah.
I didn't even get to that. I don't think. But yeah, he's doing the new Star
what is
Trek
this? The
4.
the 4th Star Trek movie?
Yeah, so it's
I didn't even see the last one.
none of them were titled with numbers, which is even more confusing.
Yeah,
so
there was
like,
Star Trek in the Darkness,
and
Star
then
Trek.
The last one, yeah, was.
I can't
what was
remember
it
what that
called?
one is.
I
I don't know. It was like very. I remember the
saw it
trailers
in
being like super
theaters.
vibrant, very.
It
fun,
was
kind of like
much
Guardians of the
different.
Galaxy.
It did have that feel. Hold on, let me look. I think it was directed by a
It's
guy
Beyond,
that made. Yeah, didn't he?
directed
hold
by
on.
Justin Lin.
Yeah, and he did the Fast and Furious movies, right?
Yeah, or at least
Uh,
one of them, 2 of them. I have no idea.
Yeah, then.
Not
okay.
my forte of film.
Well, the interesting thing about this is that it also like this Star Trek news is that it also. What is this? So what does that mean for Quentin Tarantino's movie that has been talked about forever? That he possibly has written and has like.
The article that I'm
His
reading
hands on,
is
but-
saying that it's still in parallel development and it's more
Hmm.
more just a spin-off. I mean, I have no idea. No one knows. I guess.
Well, that's the other
besides,
thing.
You know,
I just figured it was gonna be another canon movie. But I don't know.
I don't think you can do that though, because like it's been, everyone's been talking about that movie because Quentin Tarantino wants to make it R and edgy and whatever.
Yeah.
How
that's
can you
true.
do that with the previous Star Treks being, PG-13, casual Star Wars movies essentially?
Yeah,
Star
no,
Trek
it
films.
it would. Yeah, you're right. It would definitely
It'd be
work
weird.
best with a.
And then just like a complete left turn, right into the F-bombs and people probably blowing up. I mean, we all know Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. The other thing about this Star Trek announcement is I think it could be a good pairing. I also forgot that he worked on the Fargo TV show, which is fantastic. And
Didn't see it.
yeah, that was on FX too. But I mean, that's the thing. He's very talented, especially as a
More
director.
so in the TV realm than
In the
film
TV realm, yes. So that's why when I said Lucy in the Sky, that bombed. That came out in October. I don't think.
Did you see
anyone
Lucy in
saw
the
it.
Sky?
No, and it played at a theater near me.
I was actually kind of like, I remember seeing the trailer for that and being intrigued. I mean, I'm a sucker for sci-fi films, but once I started hearing it just getting absolute shit on, all interest kind of went out the window.
Well, it was coming out around the same time that Ad Astra was coming out, and I kept seeing the same trailers, and I was like, okay, some good space movies. I was interested in that
The trailers
too.
did
And
look rather similar.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I was like, okay.
And I think I'd rather see a James Gray movie than a Noah Hawley movie.
Well, that's the thing. I did read that Lucy in the Sky was just like really incomplete, is what people said. It felt like so. That's the thing. I don't know if it's worth handing a franchise to someone like that, but it's also these people can just be handed franchises and do the best thing they've ever done. So I don't know.
I mean, that seems to be happening a lot recently because our next piece of news has to do almost exactly with that.
Yeah.
Should we just switch to that?
Yeah, let's just move over.
So, this is what I started off the episode saying with rumors, facts. We don't know for sure. It has to do with Todd Phillips and the Joker. So, God, that's Mark's week 3 of talking about a superhero movie.
Yeah, well, it's never gonna end, honestly.
But it's not. It's not Disney though.
No, it's not. And
I shouldn't even said that cursed name. So basically, if you weren't following on Twitter, is basically kind of where it took off. I'd imagine as well on Facebook with Joker.
I mean,
diehard
it was
fans,
headlining everywhere. Like I saw it everywhere.
There were reports that there was a Joker movie sequel in the works, which came to absolutely no one's surprise because, I mean, it made over $1 billion, like one of the fastest R-rated movies to do that. It was a fucking worldwide success. So it was, it's absolutely no surprise that got announced. Another thing that was also apparently announced was that Todd Phillips would be overseeing and kind of curating the course of the DC film future, the franchise going ahead. What's your take on it?
Well, I thought it was it was not surprising at all, like you said.
No.
I expected that as soon as it passed like $1 billion. I was like, they're gonna this is a no-brainer for Warner Brothers. Is it necessary? Hell no.
Absolutely
was the
not.
movie itself necessary? Hell no.
No.
But I mean, we're gonna get a sequel. We're in the world where we're getting all these villain movies now. Venom 2 is going to be coming out next year, and that's going to try to compete with all this bullshit too. But the main exciting thing about it was them diving into other character properties. Like, I mean, it wasn't ever said who he would have had rights to, but the rumors did say that Todd Phillips got rights to a certain character's story. I feel like it could be Lex Luthor, but then again, this is all rumors, so we don't even know.
Yeah, because eventually, I think it was Warner Brothers or it was Todd Phillips who came out and said, these talks are not happening.
Yeah.
This is not true, which is likely a bunch of bullshit, and they're just not ready to announce it I would say.
Yeah,
I think you
I think
agree.
someone leaked it. Yeah, it literally just sounds like an executive talk too much or someone.
The thing that raises an eyebrow to me, it like I said, no shock there's a Joker sequel. Like that's probably happening. The more interesting part is if Joaquin Phoenix wants to do it. But the thing that, like I said, raises an eyebrow is the fact that Warner Brothers would hand over the keys to a man who has made, I don't know, 2 decent movies. One of them being a comedy, and then the sequels to that comedy being utter garbage. And then making another. He's made a bunch of comedies and a bunch of iffy movies.
Well, yeah, that's how I feel too. Is why that's probably one of the first things I thought about when it all got announced was you're gonna hand over this whole villain franchise basically to someone that made 2 other movies of a really popular franchise that made a ton of money and bombed both of those movies.
I think Warner Brothers is seeing this guy. They see Todd Phillips, who made them $1 billion, and they're like, this is our Joss Whedon. This is our man. And then we all know what happened with Joss Whedon, but
or new Zack Snyder, but I don't know.
It's just a questionable decision. I mean, I think we've both made it pretty clear that we're both not crazy about the Joker.
No.
I think it was a fine movie. There are some crazy, ridiculous diehards for the film, just like any superhero film will have, but these guys are a little insane.
It's I don't know. I just don't get it, I guess. It's more so than Marvel fans. It's like you have to be known. Like, if you like the Joker, you're known as a Joker fan. Like, you have to show it. Did you see that? Did you see
that thing that I retweeted on my Twitter at Noah Moores? For that plug.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was smooth.
I'm pulling up my Twitter now. It's like 3 pictures from the film, and the username who posted this is Joaquin is Queen, or Joaquin's Queen, and then you know how like you have a username and then you have like an actual name for your Twitter. Her name is Bonnie Loves Joker. So,
oh my gosh,
the tweet that she posted, it's when we break into Arthur's apartment and all beg to suck his dick. And it's like 3 pictures. Actually. Yeah, okay, you did see it. It's like these fans are insane. And they will go to fucking war with you if you don't like Joker.
No, I know. You comment one thing negative, and it's like any opinion you have is wrong. I'm like, okay.
Joker is an Oscar contender. Joaquin is gonna win it for his role as Arthur.
I don't want that. That's the thing. I don't want them to give this movie that attention or give these people that satisfaction.
I think I would love for it just not even to get recognized, just because it's fun to see their reaction.
Oh,
and
I
probably
hope so.
They will boycott the Oscars, I guarantee, if that happens. Do I think that Joaquin Phoenix is deserving of a nomination? I think so, but not winning.
The film itself, no.
The film itself, not Best Picture either.
Yeah, I agree. I think his role was probably one of the most memorable roles of the year and probably one of the best when it comes to just diving into a role so deep. I mean, he's one of my favorite actors, but yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't carry the whole movie either, just because he was so good. I
think literally the best thing about that movie is the score. I love the score of that. I think that should maybe be nominated for anything. That should be nominated.
I did dig the score too. I agree.
But the thing I can with utmost certainty say is that when Joker finished, there were 2 things. Or I guess there's one thing that really popped in my mind. One, I thought it was fine. But there was one thing that certainly didn't pop into my mind, and that was sequel. There was never an instance that I was thinking this movie needs a sequel.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. I never thought to myself it needs a sequel, but I thought to myself they could set up a sequel if they wanted to. I think they had it set up to. They didn't plan to make a sequel. But if it was in the cards and it worked, it was going to happen. I mean, I don't know. There's not really much of a story they can continue unless they world build with.
You think Todd Phillips saw The Irishman and got some new ideas?
Oh, God. I don't even want to go there. I bet he did. I bet he's like, okay, let's make Joker like a 3 hour like, and I feel like he would go back and do those deep fake things too, like that.
What do you mean?
They've talked about in Irishman that they go back. It's not necessarily deep fake, but the what's it called? Like the age de-aging is what they called it.
Yeah, de-aging. Yeah, deep faking is way different.
Deep faking, yeah, my bad, but
that took off in a whole different way with porn and whatnot.
Yeah, that's
deep
a
faking
whole
and
other
de-aging is
thing.
different, and it's important to notate that.
I will write that down.
Do not make this mistake again, Teddy.
I will never.
I mean, yeah, that's just the way the movie industry works, though. Movie makes $1 billion. It's gonna get another movie.
If they were to do a certain character, who would you want?
When it comes to like Batman villains?
When it comes to, it doesn't necessarily, I think he was leaning towards DC villains in general, so I feel like it could have been someone like Lex Luthor, because he's pretty significant, you know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be. Yeah, that's the other thing.
If I had to see one,
like it can be a Batman villain, but I think they've also dipped into other things. So.
If I had to see one, I mean, they're already gonna be giving him another adaptation, but the Riddler would be pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I would say deeper into him, or
I mean, I don't know anything about a lot of comic book
enough.
villains in DC or really in Marvel. I don't know much. So,
fair enough.
What would you say? Is your answer like Lex Luthor?
I mean, I think the logistical person would be someone like Lex Luthor, but I feel like, because I feel like the DC fans would want someone outside of like, if they're gonna do that, then they have plenty of other characters with other bad guys. Like they could even lean into Green Lantern bad guys, or I don't even know. There's plenty of canon, but that's the thing. They can even just tie into all their current movies, like Aquaman, or I don't know, but they already have that spinoff going. I don't know if you knew about that.
What?
For Aquaman. James Wan is developing a horror movie based on the creatures under the sea.
What?
Yeah, it's legit.
Are
Here,
you
let me
sure?
see what it's called. Yeah, hold on. I'm 99% sure. Yeah, it's called The Trench. So the synopsis for it is: a group in search of Atlantis evolve into savage monsters. A spin-off feature from the 2018 film Aquaman.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this was announced like right after Aquaman came out. But,
and I missed it somehow.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I think that's its own thing.
I say this every week. I'm so sick of this shit, man.
Yeah,
I'm so sick of it. Does everything need to be a fucking comic book movie? Like, holy shit.
Well, and then it's just all these adaptations. Like I don't know. It's just
adaptations, spin-offs, reboots, sequels. It's I say this shit every week.
Yeah.
It's just,
I know it's never gonna end either. It's only gonna get worse.
Maybe we set a personal goal this week to not talk about Disney. Maybe next week we set a personal goal. Whatever.
I know,
but I'm not gonna. Whatever. But maybe next week we set a personal goal not to talk about superhero movies.
Maybe. I just can't.
There's new news for it every goddamn week.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is if we can find enough news to talk about that doesn't involve.
Yeah, and the even more funny thing is there's probably something else we could have talked about. Last week we were talking about the Snyder Cut, and I think I had an exact quote saying, "DC fans, give up. It's not gonna happen."
And then they tried again.
An hour later, after I edited the podcast, fucking Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Zack Snyder start tweeting about it, and I'm just like, what the actual shit?
Yeah, you texted me and you were like, look at Twitter, look at their Twitter profiles.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, I was very surprised, but then I was so happy when I saw like Snyder came out and Warner Brothers are like, this is not happening. People
or they're just
up.
Testing the waters and just kind of
if
is
it
there
was
need
thing,
is there want for it?
It would have happened, and if it's gonna happen, they're probably gonna drop it on HBO Max. But
which I don't know when does that start?
Spring.
Yeah, so there's
like,
plenty
May.
of time.
Yeah, the movie's been out itself for
You want to
3
place
years?
bets on if it happens?
Yeah.
You seem to think
I'm down.
it's not going to happen.
I don't
I
think
it's
it
going to
is.
happen.
Well, I just think the fact that it's been strung out so long, I don't even think there's a Snyder cut.
There can be.
There can be, but no one knows. That's the thing. Does anyone know that this
It's not
is
like they
here?
just throw away all the footage and just be like, once the movie's released, and be like, yep, well, we don't need that anymore.
And the other thing is, if it is real, how do you know what's in it? How do you know that it's not just like the same exact thing with different scenes cut? Like, I just that kind of stuff doesn't excite me.
It doesn't excite me either. Batman vs. Superman is an absolutely shitty movie, and I don't think there's anything that could have fixed it.
No.
I would love to see it happen, though. So I think it's going to happen. You don't. Let's just say a good $20, and
$20.
we'll call it there.
Yeah, well, we'll see when that happens then.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like Disney Plus, where like HBO Max starts like announcing all the things that are going to be on. I guess they already did that.
They're starting to, I mean, I don't know. The fact that they've already announced a Dune project before the
Oh yeah,
movie.
the sisterhood of Dune,
Yeah, and
which I was totally stoked about, and then the head man of the show left for the sequel of Dune, and I'm just like, well, if you're going to leave for one Dune project, go to another Dune project. I'm okay with that.
Why not?
Lord knows I want all the goddamn Dune movies, so give them
That
to me.
feels like it's forever away
God, a year and a month.
still.
And I mean, there's rumors now of like a new trailer for that coming out in like the next week, because like I guess Warner Brothers is announcing the slate for their 2020 film at like some.
If
con.
anything, we will get a Wonder Woman trailer. I don't think we'll get that.
You had to bring it back to superhero movies. You had to bring it back.
I'm sorry, but yeah, that's the thing is like that's their.
I've been waiting to talk Dune on this podcast for so long.
I know.
But they give
well,
us nothing.
They don't, and they could give us a trailer soon. But if we do get one, it's gonna be a teaser.
Yeah, and
I'm
like
not
the
expecting
teaser for
anything.
Blade Runner 2049, and I'm only referencing it because Denis Villeneuve made both films for anyone listening who doesn't make the connection. Like the teaser for that came out like a year prior, and
It
it was a
did?
fucking yeah.
I
it
don't
was
remember. I'm gonna have to look it up.
It was
'cause
a
I don't
hype.
remember
It hyped me the fuck up.
Wasn't it just like a small trailer with just showing Ryan? Or-
It was like a voiceover with Ryan walking, and then like a quick glimpse of Harrison Ford, and then just Blade Runner 2049. That's it.
Okay.
That's all I need too for Dune. Like, just
Well,
give me that.
I feel like yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we got a trailer for the new what's it called? Or Tenet with why am I blanking?
Christopher Nolan, the new
Yes,
Christopher Nolan
thank
movie.
you, Christopher
There's a new
Nolan
trailer
movie.
for that.
Well, you never saw it, right?
I did see it. It actually played in some random movie. Like gave me the trailer. Not the
Okay.
movie that it was originally released with, but yeah, some random
Well,
movie gave it to me.
Yeah, for a while it was only playing in IMAX.
And I mean, that's like enough to hype me up.
Yeah,
And that's Warner Brothers as well. Or I
Well,
guess
and it was a
it's
very
Dune.
small trailer too, so I feel like that'll definitely be a thing with Dune, I think.
Well, I mean, I will say, looking at my notes, I did not expect to go from talking about the Joker to Dune.
I mean, that's fine. That's cool.
I'm completely okay with that. I'm a huge Dune fan. I can talk anyone's ear off about Dune. So let's not talk about Dune anymore.
Yeah,
then.
that's fair.
I mean, I got nothing else to say on the Joker shit. I mean, I feel like I've spewed enough about DC and Todd Phillips.
Just I guess the gist of that is we don't want a sequel, and we'll see what happens. But
Yeah. So, you saw Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood today. I saw it last night. What did you think?
First of all, I guess I can say I liked it. It was not what I expected, though. I feel like
How's that?
I feel like it was my own fault. I've seen the trailers, and the trailers do a good enough job of telling you it's not really Roger's story.
I thought it was.
See, that's the thing. The trailers do tell you it, but I didn't put it together. And then the movie starts going, and then it's like, okay, This is not his story. This is about someone else. It was good. It was interesting enough, but it's also, that's like a big thing, is going into that movie, if you're expecting it to be all about Mr. Rogers or learning his backstory, you're not gonna get anything. So watch the documentary that came out last year. It was fantastic. Both are good. But,
I heard.
It was just not a deep dive into him, but it was a good film, I think, and it had some quality. But
were you a kid who watched Mr. Rogers growing up?
No, that's the thing. I think it missed our generation. I don't know if you grew up watching it.
I didn't. Mm-mm.
I just don't think our generation. I mean, I grew up with Sesame Street and stuff like that, but I always knew who he was. That's the thing. I think everyone grew up knowing him.
What age of people do you think have seen? I know my girlfriend, who's 25 or is going to be 25. She said she watched it a little bit but doesn't remember much. Like, you think, like, people in like their 30s maybe?
Well, and the
I
other
don't want to
thing
sound
is,
so young because we're not that young.
Well, no, but the other thing in the movie, they show that he was still filming in 98. So that means that we were.
I was 2.
I was like 2 or 3. And so
I think that's an appropriate age to watch a kid's show.
I feel like it could have been on for us to watch. It just wasn't something I ever remember watching.
Yeah, I was more of a Thomas the Tank Engine type of kid.
Yeah, that's the thing. We had all this other stuff. I watched that too, but I feel like this movie was made for an older audience too.
So that's actually 2 things I want to touch on. The whole thing what we were just talking about. I thought this movie did a absolutely wonderful job of conveying who Mr. Rogers is and what he was about to people who didn't really watch him when they were younger. I mean, like, I'm aware of, in the last 2 years we've gotten a lot of knowledge about Mr. Rogers, and honestly, up until the documentary last year, I didn't even really know who he was.
I didn't know much either, honestly. I knew who he was, but I just didn't know the kind of person he was.
Yeah, and I still haven't even seen the documentary, so like, I was going into this basically Mr. Rogers blind. All I knew is that he's like dead, and he did a children's show, and people love him. And the movie did a great job on showing me exactly why people love him, why he's a great dude, and all that. And I commend it for it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you mentioned something how it's like not more. It's more like mature.
Yeah, and it just. And I'm fine with that, though. That's the thing.
I'm absolutely fine with that. Because, like, when I was standing in line to get my ticket, I saw that it was rated PG, and for some reason I thought it was, like, PG-13. I don't know why. And I kind of thought it was going to be, like, really in-your-face, family-friendly, which kind of puts me off a little bit. But it does.
Well, the other thing, it leans. So it feels like a kid could totally watch it, but it also feels like it would go over their head at the same time. Yeah, and
it does deal with thematically mature elements, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I didn't catch the rating either. I don't know. I thought it was PG-13 too, and then I saw it. I was like, there wasn't a cuss word in the whole movie. I think someone said crap, but I was like, okay.
I think maybe the guy who is having a rough life, I think he said shit once, but
yeah, I didn't even.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, and I guess 2 things that stood out too to me about it was, I really liked how the whole movie was, I guess it was shown because the whole movie was set up like an episode of the show.
Yeah.
Basically. Like him introducing this person that he met and he ended up getting interviewed by and all of this stuff in his life, and that's literally what the movie is about, is that man.
Mm-hmm.
But I just liked how, like, there's a certain scene where it's a dreamlike scene, but you see Mr. Rogers' like whole set come to life and all these characters, and I don't know, I like the whole panning on the city thing was really cool, like panning on his little city instead of panning over New York or something, and I don't know.
So there's 3 words that I wrote down in my notes app. Typically when I see a movie now that I'm going to talk about on the podcast, I write down stuff in my notes so I remember.
Fair enough.
There's 3 words that I wrote down as like the last point. Creative as fuck.
Yeah.
And exactly what you were talking about. Like one of the scenes, there was like his set came to life.
Yeah.
The scenes where it was changing settings was basically the way they approached that, fucking awesome.
It was
I loved
awesome, but the one thing I have to say about it is it kind of caught me off guard. Like it took me a little bit to get into it and understand. Like I was like, because the formatting of it all, like the way the movie just starts too.
The aspect ratio.
Yeah, yeah, and everything at the beginning. Honestly, just like I was like, how is this? What is going on here? And but
It did throw when I saw the aspect ratio. Of course, it makes sense because they're showing it as like a TV clip.
yeah,
But I was legitimately worried that it was gonna just be like that for the whole film.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the whole aspect ratio.
No.
4:3 aspect ratio. It's not. I love the lighthouse and everything, but I'd rather
Well, it was
that had
for
been.
that, but
Yeah, but I still or even First Reformed, one of my more
okay.
favorite movies that did that. I watched that movie and I'm like, I love that movie, but I wish it didn't do that. I wish it was, widescreen. It's what I prefer. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. Whenever you see waves, just be
I'm
ready. Just be ready
okay.
for some weird shit with aspect ratio.
Oh, okay. I mean, this has been a strange year with aspect ratio in general. I feel like a lot of directors are getting really, I guess, no, I don't know. They're just.
I don't want
want
to sound. I don't want to sound like an A24 like dick writer, but I feel like they're the ones who started that.
They did. I think they did too, and it's
like the only movie that I could think
like.
of. Yeah, absolutely. The only movie that I can think of that's not A24, and that did that. I think before A24 was really even kind of taking off was like The Artist.
Oh.
If you remember that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. Vaguely.
It's a movie that, vaguely. It's a movie that kind of just falls into the other movies that don't get remembered.
Well, another thing about the movie though, how did you feel about Tom Hanks?
I liked him a lot. I think he's definitely a shoo-in for Best Actor.
Okay, one thing about it that bugged me so well, I think he's good. I love Tom Hanks. I think he's fantastic, but I did not see Mr. Rogers. I saw Tom Hanks acting like Mr. Rogers. It did not feel like a full transformation to me. I think he was perfect for the role because he basically is the Mr. Rogers of Hollywood.
He's also the sixth cousin of Mr. Rogers.
Oh, really?
You didn't see all that news?
I did not know that.
Apparently fucking related. They're like sixth cousins.
I mean, it makes sense. There's something there. It's just, I don't know. I highly recommend watching the documentary to you and everyone that's interested. It's a good compare and contrast, especially seeing both movies. It's because the documentary helps you see the side of Rogers that you didn't think he like, because a lot of people were like, okay, there has to be something wrong with this guy. There has to be something, like, he has to be mean. And there's nothing. And it was interesting seeing that. You do see that in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and you do see his soft side and his whole mantra of like digging into helping other people and other people's problems and stuff. But
see, I think the reason why I didn't have a problem with Tom Hanks like fitting into the character, or fully immersing into the character, is the fact that, like I told you, I don't really know much about Mr. Rogers, and I didn't really watch anything prior about Mr. Rogers. So to me,
it's just he
he is Mr. Rogers.
He gets it. Yeah, he gets it good. I don't know. I think he embodies him perfectly. I see Tom Hanks's face in him. When I hear him talk, I do not hear Mr. Rogers. I mean, Mr. Rogers does have he has a specific voice that's just so calm and like just smooth and very slow. I don't know. I feel like he did try to do that, but it didn't. For me, I don't know. I do like him. I don't feel like he should get Best
No
Actor
Oscar nomination? No.
I don't even think the movie itself should get a Best Picture, in my opinion. I don't.
Really?
I don't know. I know
think
it
slips
will.
in there.
I think
don't think
it will
wins.
get.
I don't think it has a chance,
No.
but I think it slips in there.
Yeah, I think it could slip in there. I just don't. I don't think it was.
Let me take a look. I actually think I have it in my top 10 right now.
Really. I don't think.
Well, yeah, because you know how I do things. Like as I see movies, I make a list on my letterbox, and I throughout the year, add the films in their right place on which movie is better, and technically I always have a top 10 at all times, but it's never going to be the same as it is now than it is at the end of the year. But yeah, right now I have it sitting 8th.
Huh. Yeah, it would not even sit. I don't think it would hit my top 20.
Well, I mean, just for clarification, like my number 9 right now is like that horror film Ready or Not.
That's in my top 15.
Like, there's still so many movies that
I've also
need to see.
A good amount more than you this year.
I think you've seen 30 more than me so far.
My total right now is 105 or 106 with Mr. Rogers.
Fuck. Yeah, you got me by 40.
But I've also watched a lot of crap, like so much. So I'm ready to talk about best and worst movies at the end of the year for sure. To have a lot of worst, that's for sure.
What is your worst? What's just kind of like just a quick preview, I guess. What's your worst pick? What is your worst picture right now?
It's tied with the Fanatic with John Travolta, but my worst has to be Hellboy, because it was the biggest. It was out of the worst movies I saw. It was the biggest wide release, and it had so much work put into it that it was just so bad and so pointless.
It's a mess.
It was horrible. But I think I may have seen worse if I think about it.
I have that, like, Hellboy's tied for my worst, but like the other movie I have, it's a straight to, like, I don't know what you call it, VOD, straight to VOD, video on demand. It's with Alec Baldwin and
Drunk Parents.
Yeah, Drunk Parents.
I did not watch that one, but I saw it.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, it's worse because, like, with Hellboy, you can see they at least attempted. With Drunk Parents, like, it's a comedy, and whoever made it put absolutely no work in it, or whoever made it is 20 years old.
Well,
it's bad.
That's the thing. A lot of these movies that I've seen this year, a lot of the crap ones were like horror movies. I think 47 Meters Down 2 is in my bottom 5 because it was just god awful.
Is that the one with Megalodon?
It's the shark. You saw 47 Meters. No, I doubt you saw the first movie. It's just, it's a megalodon shark.
The one with Jason Statham?
No, that's the Meg. It's actually not a megalodon. Now I'm thinking of it. It's just a regular shark that attacks these, like, scuba diving girls.
Oh, yeah, they're, like, in a cage and whatnot.
Yeah, the second one is called Uncaged. So, there you go.
That's some creativity there.
Oh, that was bad. But yeah, I mean, we can talk more about that.
I will say, like,
stuff, but
out of all the sequels, reboots, that shit, they are always just an infinite times better than these straight to VOD films or these films like Uncaged that are just, like, made for $2 million and they're a sequel to another film that just happened to find success.
Yeah, and I don't know, a lot of these movies that I've seen this year, a lot of the sequels were just pointless, but that's the point of what you're saying right there. So
and just talking about this just makes me realize that we're nearly a month away from January.
Yeah, so we're close to being
much shit to talk about.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Well, it was funny. I was watching trailers. I think it was when I saw Knives Out. Yeah, when I saw Knives Out last night. They're showing just regular trailers, but it was all this stuff for January, and it was just, none of it looked good. I mean, that movie Underwater, that looks like a rip on Alien, Underwater.
Oh, isn't that with Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, Kristen Stewart and someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
No.
I mean, we just got to take these next 5 weeks for granted because we're going to be getting a lot of good movies. And we just need to talk about as many of them as we can.
Has been overwhelming. Yeah, it's going to get crazy again. I don't know. I'm not ready to talk about Star Wars when that comes, but...
Oh, man. We might need a whole episode just to talk about that.
Yeah, we got a couple weeks for... No, that's at the end of... I don't know the date of that, but...
I think it's the 22nd.
Definitely not buying tickets ahead of time for that. At least
I got it because with the amount of theaters that I have, It's just gonna be sold out all fucking weekend. So if I want to see it, I'm gonna have to fucking buy tickets.
Do you know exactly when it comes out? Oh, it's the 20th. I just wanted to
Oh,
look,
that was 2 days off. But yeah, I mean, like next week, we're definitely gonna be talking about Knives Out.
Yep.
The Two Popes also comes out. Queen and Slim also comes out. I highly recommend watching The Two Popes on Netflix. We're probably not gonna talk about it, but I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out for sure.
It's a great film.
Oh, and we get the Irishman this week.
Do we? Oh yeah, we fucking
Yeah,
do.
on Netflix. Yeah, I didn't get to go see it in theaters
This
because
Wednesday.
the times were
you're a
god awful.
dummy.
No, it literally didn't work for me because it's a 3-hour movie. They had 2 showings per day, and they were one in the middle of the day and one at 10:45 at night. So I was like, okay. And most of them were sold out too, so that didn't help. But it's fine. I'll watch it on Netflix like
Give
a
me
normal
all the
person.
excuses you want. Whatever.
I know.
I would have found the time.
I couldn't, but I get it. I know. It's also wasn't playing near me, so we can talk about that and Knives Out.
I imagine with the week coming up, it's gonna be Thanksgiving week. I don't know if there's gonna be as much news coming out. Who fucking knows?
We can do a double movie review though.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind talking about Knives Out and The Irishman next week, because both movies highly intrigue me. Both movies I expect to absolutely love, but we'll see.
And I would love to hear you talk about JoJo too, if you do get to see that.
I could give I'm seeing it tonight,
Okay.
but I can give a quick, overview of what I thought. I know I think everyone knows how you feel. You keep mentioning that I need to see it.
I know,
So
I like it, but
I'm sure I'll like it too.
yeah, I think you will. I'm curious if you'll like that or Knives Out more, because I don't know. I really don't know.
I like me Ryan Johnson.
Yeah,
But I also like me Taika Waititi, so I can't really say much,
Yeah.
But look, we're at the end of the podcast, basically, and we did exactly what we said we would do last week. We didn't talk about Disney.
No, we didn't.
Disney at all.
So I saw
Did you see Frozen 2?
Yeah, I did. I
Oh,
saw
dude.
Frozen
Okay,
2.
you're not going to tell me about it because we're not talking about it. We're at the end. We're not at the end of the episode. We're not breaking what we said we wouldn't do. We're not doing it.
Well, sorry.
All right. If you guys have made it this far to the podcast, I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you have any feedback, this has been the 3rd episode. I think we're finally getting into the flow of things. Would you say so?
Yeah, it seems like we're finally on track with everything. I mean, we were good the first couple weeks for sure, but it feels like we got a flow going now.
Yeah, and I'm liking the Monday release date.
Yeah, it feels good.
So I think that's what we're gonna stick with. If you are one of the few people who are listening weekly, that is.
Yeah, and if you are listening to us every week, we love you. We absolutely love you. And please give us a review on iTunes, on the Apple Podcast app, because that will help us kind of get some sense of like who actually does like our podcast. We don't want the full 5-star review out of nowhere. Give us a full review. Tell us what you like and don't like. It does help. So
It does. So, at this point, I guess we have nothing else to say but goodbye. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. This has been The Real Deal.
see you guys.